Good morning, everyone. Is it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yes. Hump day. Woohoo. Welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
This guy named Jay. Good morning, everybody. I'm in a good mood. Paula seems to be in a good mood. Mm-hmm. Is it the Taylor Swift engagement?
Oh my, yay, Taylor Swift is engaged. I don't care. I don't care, but a lot of people do.
Yep, apparently it's big news, top news. Who cares, really?
A woman in her 30s is now engaged after several relationships. She's found love. Yay. I think that's good for anyone. It's nice.
Is it going to impact her next album? Is it going to be lovey-dovey now?
For sure. Start getting those babies out too.
Whoa.
Right?
Repopulate.
No, well, she's 36, and as women of that age know, when you're pregnant, it's called a geriatric pregnancy because, of course, 36 is geriatric. But yeah, go get those, ring on the finger and get the babies out.
When we started?
Yeah. I was a geriatric mother. That's how I'm scarred for life on on that term. But yeah, 2 geriatric pregnancies we had.
Yeah, we were a little selfish for about a decade, weren't we?
No, yeah, enjoy life, and then because you can't put them back. So no, we enjoyed life together, and then the monkeys came along, and life is still great.
Nobody had to do math when we announced the baby, right?
No.
When was that wedding?
No. Many moons. But yes, congratulations to Taylor Swift and what's his name? Travis Kelce is the football player.
I have less empathy for this one too.
Yeah,
it's like yesterday. And speaking of babies, our guest may or may not be able to make it due to young family and late and early mornings, late nights, early mornings. We never had that trouble though. Like we keep hearing all these stories about babies being difficult. We never had that. Yeah,
no, I'm really lucky. The boys stir during the night, give them a feed, change the bum, burp them, put them back, done. Both boys were really good after they were born. Slept well. I got them to sleep well, which meant you got to sleep well. Everyone slept well. No, I'm really fortunate. We had 2 pregnancies that were great, and then 2 infants to go through. So I feel sorry. I empathize for those that have issues with the young ones and sleeping issues, but thankfully we didn't. It was great.
Yeah, God bless. It was a good time too. It was fun. Yeah. You enjoyed it, except you wouldn't drink any Coca-Cola or any pops. So,
yeah, I cut.
Tell them how we would alleviate your little craving there.
Yes. So what Jason would, because it's not like I drink a lot of soft drinks and Coke and stuff like that, but when you now cut out caffeine from your diet completely, and all of a sudden someone's drinking a Coke in front of you, like you can taste it and all that type of stuff. I would get Jason to anytime he'd have some, he'd burp. And he'd smell the Coke. Now I just smell burp because you did it the other day and I was like, oh, that's
all
gross.
Right, too much. Too am I. Too much. Gross. Too far there. I thought it was beautiful until you updated. Too far, everybody. But yeah, let's stand by as we're waiting to see if the father of a young one was able to join us. He did give me the heads up that it's kind of crazy. It was another late night, early morning. So if he can come, great. If not, we'll find another time for him. Yeah. But I'm really pleased to announce that we did release another episode of Alberta Self-Determination. It's with Vincent Kersey. It's a good one. It's a really good one. I do encourage you all to go check it out because we get into the policing of Alberta. We get into the policing that we should be working towards here. He says proceed with caution. Make sure you don't replicate a broken system. We get into whether or not Alberta should have a police force, even if we're still in Canada. And we certainly get into a lot of the convoy policing issues that he saw. If you don't know who Vincent Kersey is, Ontario Provincial Police Constable for 32 years, I believe. He was part of the ERCH team, emergency response team. And he's a forensic investigator. So it's quite the combination to have in one person when you want to talk about what happened in the convoy with the policing, what Alberta should do, etc. So very good episode. I highly recommend you check it out, and we'll be playing a clip for you shortly. Let's take a peek at the phone, see if we got.
And yes, agreed by Pietro. By the way, Jason, great interview with Constable Vincent Kersey. Great insight. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, and I'm working hard to get these out as fast as I can for you all because it's a lot of work. It certainly is. It takes 45 minutes to an hour to record. originally, but it takes about 4 hours or so to put together, and then it
The
takes another
editing
hour or
thing,
so to upload. So I'm doing my best.
He's
And
trying.
by the way, I think we're going to have some work this weekend. We need to finish the interior, and you need to finish the exterior so we can put on the heating cooling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least I got to do one panel.
Yeah.
Because I can't take it off after we install it, the hoses and stuff like that. So I definitely have to finish where we're putting it, at least, to get her done.
Yep. No, that's on because we have some fantastic sun coming up. And so I was going to be prepping the outside today so I could start with the staining. Maybe you do a drive and get your interior stuff that you need.
Yeah, we'll see about that because I want to get some more videos done. But I think you and I are going to be busy this weekend finishing the interior. It'll also stop our, we get these little things that fall off.
Yeah, the bits of
We're roughing it. We're roughing it. We're doing our best with what we've got. That's the kind of thing we do around here. Okay, so what are we at? Yeah, we'll give him another 4 minutes because originally he was going to jump on at 7:10, and we were going to do it for 20 minutes then, so he get back to his busy day. I don't see any movement on him on the text messages, but
well, let's bring up that post that I highlighted this because since we spoke about it,
this
lovely
one,
Taylor Swift, yes.
All right,
so this one I found funny, well, sad. The most interesting topic in Canada today is Taylor Swift engagement. Not Mark Carney speaking about sending Canadian troops to Ukraine. Not that we still don't have a trade deal with the US. Not the fact that defending yourself in your own home will get you arrested. Not that we have just seen our first climate lockdowns. Not that people just robbed an LCBO in broad daylight. Not that 1 out of 4 Canadians is struggling to afford daily necessities. Not that our healthcare system and housing market are collapsing under our eyes. What will it take for people to wake up? And that is from the Political Orphans.
Yeah, our good friends there. It's a bit of a rhetorical question because we've been beating this drum for quite some time. And what will it take? Breadlines. When it actually impacts people on their day, then it will. But yeah, no, he's not wrong. And this could be a distraction. We've spoken to a lot of people that say, be careful with the news cycles. When something big comes out, like Michael Jackson and all this kind of stuff, watch what else is going on.
Yeah, if this hand is telling you to go here, what's this one doing? Yeah,
so pay attention to that. In Canada, we're inching closer to war with our people on the ground. So one of the things that was highlighted there by the Political Orphans was boots on the ground is a comment from Carney. He's now trying to push Poland to get involved. He definitely is sending more money there. He's gearing up for war.
Yeah, and I think this is still a true statement. I saw on X, someone had posted, why hasn't Polyev spoken out about Carney's comments on boots on the ground? As far as I'm aware, he hasn't spoken out about it.
That or the money he supports. Like there's a letter from Polyev prior to the election saying the Conservative Party supports Ukraine 100%, all the way. We're going to go with you. And this is one of the things that they sounded exactly the same on during the election cycle. They were both pro-Ukraine. They were both pro-tariffs. They have a lot in common, don't they?
Now, again, I wasn't born and raised here. I don't know the full history, but my understanding is there is a large Ukrainian community in Canada. Is that why there is such gung-ho support from the government to support Ukraine, or is it just want to be meddling in a war against Russia?
We've always had lots of Ukrainians in Canada. There was one of the groups that migrated here. You'll see there's a big group in Winnipeg area. That's where I spent my teen years growing up. And did you see a lot of support around Crimea when Crimea was annexed? No. A lot of Ukrainians came here, but no, it wasn't a topic that they were all supporting. This is specifically about war with Russia. Yeah. This is specifically about European never-ending war. Read 1984 again.
Yeah.
Forget how this goes. And this is about aligning Canada with it. Both parties. Why? Well, they are part of the Uniparty. This is really not even conspiracy theory anymore. This is conspiracy fact. Yeah. They align on a lot of issues. And as we heard yesterday from Bruce Party, it was the Conservatives under Harper who removed Castle Doctrine and as Maxine laid out, it was an attempt to work with the left and appease and satisfy the left. And huge mistake. Huge mistake. You never give an inch, they take a mile. And that's just more proof in my mind that they certainly are the Uniparty, the one bird, two wings. And we saw that over and over and over again. So when he doesn't come out and speak up about money to Ukraine and boots on the ground, that's because he's for it. He absolutely is for it.
We got a good comment here from Squirrel Nuts. Where is it? We have many groups from different cultures, LOL. Ukraine isn't unique. It's being used as a proxy.
Correct. Yeah. We've all over the world. Now, there's other groups that have gotten larger over the last 10 years, like the Indian community, and their migration here to Canada certainly is spiking and has been dominating the immigration. But yeah, we've had lots of Ukrainians. In fact, when I was a young guy in Saskatoon, we moved a lot because of the family situation with my mother out there. We moved a lot. I went into, just give you an idea, I think I went to like 19 different schools in the Saskatoon area, something along those lines when we counted. But when you do that, you're late to the programs. So when they're like, pick your subject, I'm always in the one that nobody wants. And for this one was language. So pick the language. The French class was full. So I got put into Ukrainian. The Ukrainian language class. So I got to learn that. So Odin, Zavash, Thresh, Shitet, Yat, Shishim. These are the numbers because that's what I got stuck into. But that's because there was a large Ukrainian community in Saskatoon. And this would have been when I was in my mid-age. So 12, 13, somewhere in there, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, no Ukrainian, and my favorite food is pierogies.
You love pierogies.
And I learned the borscht song. There's a borscht song, which is a soup, a thick soup that they eat. No, Ukrainian's been around Canada for quite some time. Many communities all over this country. So no, it's not something new. They've been here for a long time, and very strong workers. There's a community known for doing good work, contributing. Good values, assimilate, but brought their food, so no problems. They're being proxied for sure. That was sort of the correct comment there.
And there's a comment here, Becky, in our local chat. We have Russians in Canada. What are you saying to them when it's all about Ukraine? They are losing family in this war too. No kidding.
Yeah, no. See, usually it's not the people. Okay, usually I say usually because we're not seeing that with the immigration here. The people here, some of their desires to change our culture, change us, invade us is a term a lot of people use. Is that one's different? But typically, no, it's not the people. It's the governments. It's the global government. It's the agendas, the narratives that are causing the problems. And I think it was Ukrainian who did the installation in here. That showed up for that. So no, we don't have any prejudice against foreigners that come here. Obviously, here you are, and to get involved in this country or this province. But it's when they're used as a proxy. They're pawns in a really big game of chess that's dangerous, and many are killing. Like there's 1.7 million Ukrainians dead now since this war started in 2022. So it's horrible. But yeah, you don't see Polyev talking about it, and we're not Polyev bashing here.
No, it's just fact.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's just fact.
Yeah, we don't sugarcoat or anything like that. We don't want diabetes, so we make sure we stay away from that kind of thing. But I had an interview yesterday for the We Unify event, and she asked me, like, is it easy being a journalist and carry narratives? I said, well, first of all, if you're a good journalist, there's no narratives. And that's exactly why it's difficult to be a journalist in Canada, probably all over the world, is because when you don't carry a narrative, you upset everybody. Whether you're, trying to report on the freedom movement, if you're not reporting what the freedom movement wants you to report, they get upset. And it definitely happens. Same thing happened with the Coot situation. People did not like hearing, some people did not like hearing, well, yeah, you know what, they had firearms and they shouldn't have done that. They didn't want to hear truth. Or James Sowery, okay, well, he did admit in court that he was trying to buzz the officer. So that's criminal. You can't do that. A lot of people don't like to hear the truth. They want to hear their truth. So this is no different. And this is why I really appreciate our viewers and our supporters, because I'm sure at some time, every single one of them got upset with something I said, but they're here for the truth. And they notice that sometimes the truth hurts. Yeah, so it was a good interview for the We Unify. That should be coming out sometime in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it made me reflect quite a bit on why we do what we do. It's because we don't find this often. The Political Orphans is a good spot. There are some out there, but it's not prevalent. Prevalent. How do you say that word?
Prevalent.
Thank you. Out there, it should be the norm, but it's not.
Yeah. And then comment here regarding Mr. Poliev. So right about the distractions, and Pierre is not who he wants people to think he is.
He never was. Like, he was a chameleon. He can change his stripes, for sure. And are you surprised?
No.
Okay, all politicians in some way, shape, or form try to morph themselves. This is why being with the PPC was difficult, because the PPC never took the position of you need to worry about what you look like and try and mold you into a certain way. And a lot of people are used to their politicians being polished, only talking about certain things, really nailing the party politics, the platform, and really just harping on it. The PPC was very different. They didn't do any of that. Like, I can tell you, hand on heart, God is my witness, they didn't try to tell me what I could and couldn't say. They didn't force anything on me, and they certainly weren't trying to polish us in any way, shape, or form. And to many Canadians, that is a turnoff, because they're used to.
And that was also a lot of the rejection from Trump as well, because like, he's not a politician, he's a business. Like, when he first came up, he's not a politician, he's a businessman, and so he was breaking the mold, so to speak, of the interactions with press and things that he was saying, because that's not what typically politicians have spoken the way they speak.
Absolutely. Like, there was no factory of politicians in the PPC in any way, shape, or form. And that made us to the general public very different. And they rejected that. A lot of people rejected that. They want to hear their politicians sound perfect. And that's kind of their standard, because that's what they're used to. But when you're not a politician and you're truly trying to help the people, this is what we sound like. And it turned off some people. Now, the same thing happened here with our journalism. There's a certain group that can see through the BS, see the genuine people, and then they become fantastic supporters. So that's how you know that you're doing things right, because there are good people out there who are even willing to stand up and say, hey, I support the PPC, and take all the arrows as well. Because certainly was a lot in that last election. It didn't matter who you were. If you just even said, I'm even interested in taking a closer look at the PPC, there was a mob. There was a mob that would get them.
Yeah. We've got some comments here from Deb in our local chat. Canada has been known for peacekeepers and neutrality. The world will be shocked in our government stirring the pot. Yeah, there's stuff that we do.
But I think that's part of the indoctrination, Deb, because we were told how polite we are and how nice we are, and our anthem says, we stand on guard for thee. We're not the aggressors like the U.S. We kind of made ourselves different than the U.S. I think that's part of the indoctrination, because now look what happens. We're socialist. We don't stand up. We don't fight back. We don't complain. We're too polite. I think Canadians absolutely, at an early age, were told, you're the nice guys. You're the nice guys. So they can bring in things that would normally agitate and aggravate people to stand up. I think that was part of our indoctrination, that we shouldn't be pushing hard and we should be saying sorry all the time. We're too polite. That's my opinion on that one.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being polite, but it certainly is the stereotype of Canada when you're polite, Mounties, maple syrup. That's about it. And a boat.
Well, here's where I think too polite is a problem. How many people lined up for something they didn't understand? How many people did exactly what the government told them to do? How many people went ahead and did things even against their own intuition, only because they didn't want to stand up and be rude or loud or anything like that? How many people told on their neighbors? How many people made their family members do things? Or
excluded their family and shamed their family for not doing something.
And today, how many people are still afraid to stand up and say, okay, I am noticing all of my friends that went through that experiment, they're not doing so well. And some of them are no longer here. Like when you see people like Kayla Pollock still reaching out and saying, hey, look, this is real. People got hurt. I think we are being, not we, but we in the fuller sense are too polite against our government to even say, hey, you guys messed up here. How many scandals did Trudeau go through? Any one of those would have taken down in the normal times a prime
Normal
minister or a
times.
president or any other leader. But here we are, being far too polite. Watching these guys fill up their bags and walk out of the LCBO. People just watched. They're being very polite. I think we were indoctrinated to be so polite and passive so that we could be pushed further than most other countries and citizens would allow. We watched the train wreck, the poop deck one, or the poop boat yesterday. Check that out.
So yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, but there was I think she was a Russian woman, and she was basically saying the Americans are very passive because if this was Russian, like we'd be used to knowing what food lines are like.
Yeah.
Because on the boat, things got, or I guess you said they were too coddled or something like that. Because where they're from, happens all the time. There's long lineup.
No power. There's no food. The septic system is being dealt with. But yeah, she's like, this is communism. She comes from this, like, it's common. We expect it. We know how to live. And I was kind of nodding my head because coming from a developing country of Nigeria, power would go out. And if the water board lost power and they didn't have their generator working, well, then slowly water would start going as well. So we would be filling up buckets, filling up the bathtubs. And if the storm comes and you've lost power because they've got to fix it, so power's down for a couple of days. If your generator's not working, you're up a creek because now your fridge and freezer's starting to go. So I'm aware of living in conditions where it's not ideal in the Western world. And we have this term, first world problems. So.
Yeah, that's what she's kind of highlighting there. For the Americans, they couldn't take a couple of days without fresh hot food. They were complaining and stuff like that. But Canada is no different. We're very passive and very polite, and I think too polite. A lot of people think that is why we're here, and I'm on that same wavelength. I do think that if we stood up earlier, push harder, Canada wouldn't have been selected by the globalists as one of the countries to try their things on. We're a pilot on a lot of things. They come here first. Us, Australia, New Zealand are the top three. UK is on that list as well.
I wonder what their connection is.
Commonwealth, common law. We're passive and we're subservient, and we're polite and we say thank you and sorry, and maybe that's part of our problem. I know where you're coming from. Like, it's nice to be nice. I get it. I totally get it. But if you're told your entire life that you're the polite, passive, you say sorry and you don't push back, well, we get what we get. We see what we got. It's not a good thing. They couldn't have gone away with a lot of the things they did here in Canada down the States.
Well, we left the front door open and the key fob by the door.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like our good friend is not going to be able to make it. I'm going to check the text one more time, but he does have the link, and if he could, he would. He can't, so he won't. There you go. Some more poetry for all you out there. But I do want to get more into the Vincent Gersey episode. I highly recommend you check it out. The next one is Tom Marazzo. So each one of these, and I've explained this a couple of times, each one of these interviews that I'm doing, all 50 of them, they bring something unique to the table, and I'm targeting them specifically for that uniqueness. And Vincent Gersey was policing on a provincial level. So he's got decades of policing on a provincial level. He's a very smart gentleman. He also has the emergency response stuff. He's wide awake. And it gets into the interview, like why he's wide awake. It's because he's a forensics guy. He's an evidence guy. It's his training. It's what he knows. When he was told to wear a mask, he looked into seeing which would be the best option for him. And after his research about the size of the virus and all this kind of stuff, he came to the conclusion, like, I have to wear scuba gear because what they're offering here won't stop anything. And his eyes open up, and he's a forensics guy. But the main reason why I invited him on was policing, because this is a conversation we're going to have if we want to stay sovereign within Canada or leave. Policing is going to be an issue that just won't be going away anytime soon, and for good reason. So one of the things was I've been going through some of the council meetings that we had here in Brazeau County. I'm getting myself caught up on the movers and shakers and the topics. And Some of them are hilarious. Like I just can't wait to see the update on that or hear the update. But one of them was provincial policing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little surprised that it didn't seem like the entire council was on board with that.
That's right.
It seemed like there was a lot of complacency with the RCMP. There was a couple of them that said, "Hey, I met with so and so from the RCMP, and they meet with us every month or so, or every couple of months." And
they're always open to the public, and those hosting events like "Get to Know Us," will come see us.
And also, one comment was, "Well, there will be no oversight with the sheriffs, and there's no way to complain." That's just simply that's just not true.
Hogwash.
Yeah, when the actual police force is put in place, of course, there's going to be mechanisms that involve the complaints and stuff like that. But one thing that they completely overlooked was, well, it's a paramilitary hierarchy system, which means it's controlled in Ottawa. Paramilitary means they believe that they are the force, and they don't take allegiance to the Canadians at all.
Mm-hmm.
Their oath is to themselves. They don't actually take an oath to. Now, OPP is different. I'm talking about the RCMP.
Correct, yes.
The RCMP take an oath to themselves. It's not even to the king. It's not to the Constitution. It's not to the people. It's an oath to their own organization. And because of things like that, you get lockstep policing, where top-down heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no individual decision-making on the policing, and that's absolutely where you want it. OPP is slightly different, and Vincent talks about that a little bit, but there's also problems there too that he gets into, and he warns Alberta not to repeat them. But what I'm talking about here with the council, and I hope they watch this episode and they check out this interview with Vincent, is what is the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is you get single-sided narratives driven onto you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get contradictory or contrary opinions listened to. One of the things that Vincent talked about was there were many civilian groups that put together packages of information that were scientifically based, and it went against the narrative, and it was just strictly ignored, completely ignored. So these are some of the things that I want to highlight to potentially my future council mates. I'm not sure what the proper term is there, but I do hope they watch this episode, pay attention to it, and I've highlighted a little bit of a clip here. So watch the whole episode. It's only 50 minutes. But here's what Vincent thinks happened when it came to the crackdown on Canadians in Ottawa. And if you weren't there, if you were not part of an ERT team in your history or part of a police force, you may have missed it. But Vincent laid it out pretty clearly here, what he believes happened. So let's go ahead and hear from our friend Vincent.
And one event where we saw the police services come together, municipal, provincial, and federal, was the Freedom Convoy in 2022 in Ottawa. So we saw the OPP, we saw OPS, Ottawa Police Services, and the RCMP come together. Did you see different reactions from each of those levels? Because you actually were there.
I did. I spoke to members of all the different police services there when I was there, just on a social level, just an informative level, discussing the issues that we were dealing with there, the protest, the vaccination policy issue. And yeah, some police services were, well, let's just say the police services I dealt with there were very receptive to having conversation, and were very polite and professionally deployed while I was there, until the orders were given to shut things down, and that there was a night and day difference. And what I saw in how the takedown took place, both with my own eyes, what I was seeing, and then later video accounts of what I was seeing, I found it very distasteful and very unbelievable that any of our police services would have done what they had done. And the conclusion that I drew was, because having been on the emergency response team for a few years, I'm very aware of being given false intelligence or misleading intelligence going into a mission. And there was no question in my mind that I knew the flavor of what was going on there. I knew the friendly atmosphere, the peaceful atmosphere that was going on there. And that the members that were deployed at the end shut it down. the manner in which they deployed was indicative to me of only one thing, and that is that they would have been provided an intelligence briefing that was false. They would have been given false information, and there's no to this day, there's no indication of what that briefing was. And I think that's critically important to know, what were those members briefed on? What were they told? Because judging from the response of the officers, it appears that they were told that these are armed and dangerous people, heavily armed and dangerous people, and that the officers were going into a very highly potentially violent and dangerous situation where firearms are involved, because they had their firearms deployed. And that's the only rational explanation that I could have. And I'd like to know who provided that faulty intelligence information to those teams.
So I find that very important. Like, you got to pay attention to that one, because he's not just an observer. He's been trained. He knows why they have to do certain things, like be armed, like displaying their firearms, heavy firearms. They don't do that for just a rowdy group. They do that if they think they're going to be shot at. So as he laid out there, he's been part of times where the information was false, and he sees these signs that that's what happened here. And one thing I think was really important, if you caught it, fantastic for you, was we still don't know to this day.
That's right. Yeah.
What they were
that's
told.
what I was going to say. We still don't know what was in that briefing.
And this is after the Public Order Emergency Commission is long and done. Freedom of information requests, I'm sure more than one has been put in there. It would be national security and privacy concern why they don't release it. But from his perspective, seeing their response, and he was there. He's not just watching just videos or cherry picking videos. He was there. He spoke to the officers before and after. And like he said, night and day. There was a very different response. Things changed fast. And the only way for that to have happened is they were provided false information.
Yeah, because what was consistently seen prior to would not warrant the response that was received.
Yeah. And what was the net result? Well, there were Canadians that had guns pointed to them, slammed to the ground. We've had a injured vet, Chris. He was harmed along the way. It was brutal. The whole world watched how Canada cracked down, and I still believe there's a lot of trauma with Canadians, and this could be why we're becoming even passive again. We saw the punishment, as we were talking about before, about being passive. Well, when we see what happens and what will happen when the boots hit us, it will cause us to be traumatized.
Yeah.
And hearing from an officer who has the training before this happened, he's not cherry picking. He was there. He had a great conversation, lots of conversations with officers on the ground before, and he saw what happened. So check out that episode. There's a lot more. That was just one little clip. But when it comes to police in Alberta, we need it. We need to have our own policing in Alberta. Disconnect from Ottawa, disconnect from the paramilitary policing, the ones that don't take an oath to us, only to themselves. And we got to get rid of that RC part of it, Royal Canadian. That's something we don't need the ties for, Royal or Canadian. And we need to, whether we leave or not, this should be a high priority. And Vincent goes into that.
Yep. And yes, completely agree, Colleen. Vince is awesome.
Yep. He's one of the good ones. He certainly is. He was great with his time, very flexible as we were trying to figure out where to meet and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad how we did everything. There was an audience. That was our original plan, to have audiences for these interviews, but I'm really glad how intimate and interactive it was, just the two of us. I think it gives a very different dynamic. It worked well. And other than my focusing issues, like there's some camera issues I learned along the way.
Yeah.
Okay. It gets better and better as we do these interviews. But that was interview number 8. We've done 25 and we got 25 more to go. So I hope you're enjoying that.
And then just a couple of comments here. They need to separate the politics and policing. They still oath to the king instead of Canadians. And then Pietro again, why should a politician nominate police commissioner?
Absolutely correct. And Vincent goes into all of those.
Yeah.
He goes into the appointment of the commissioners. For example, One thing we talked about there was during the Public Order Emergency Commission, if you watch closely, all the OPP officers and constables that took to stand were fantastic. Like, it was a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
Like, when we were watching other witnesses from the RCMP and the Ottawa Police Services, it was brutal. Like, they were talking, like, Brenda Lucky was wearing a mask at the commission. You totally saw where they're coming from. OPP did a fantastic job. Their daily reports were bang on. They
Mhm.
were honest. They were truthful. They were accurate, except for the OPP commissioner, Thomas Couric. He was not in alignment with his own constables. He didn't agree with them. He agreed far more with Brenda Lucky.
Yeah.
And then Vincent laid that out. He's like, well, Brenda Lucky was appointed by Trudeau, and Thomas Couric was appointed by Doug Ford. So there's a problem there. It's appointed, political appointment. You got to buddy up to get that job. And you can see the difference on the stand. They were
Yeah.
very, very different.
Sure, you need to woo the people, not your colleagues, in order to try and improve in your step up in your career. It is the people that you represent and protect and take care of. And yeah, they're the ones you should be electing, just like local council, school trustee. Like, you're going to the people, not colleagues.
Yeah, so to any of my fellow future potential council mates, pay attention to this because this is important. Take a look at Peel's policing. This is how modern policing has been done. Peel was an officer from the UK. He laid out the modern policing, and it's policing by the people. The RCMP do not follow Peel's principles at all. They are paramilitary, which means they take a chain of command. They don't question command. They do what they're told. And if you don't understand why that's a problem, you do have to dig into this one a little bit more, because not just in Ottawa was it a problem. High River here in Alberta, they entered homes and took firearms. There's people that are still trying to get them back. You have the Coote situation where 16 witnesses from the Crown's office during that trial, and their entire witness list were RCMP employed
That's
people.
right.
12 officers, 4 civilian members. Their entire case was the RCMP. And I can tell you on a tech level, the tech testimony was BS. They lied. There was lots of lying going on there. The average person may not know it. It may take a Vincent to understand the ERT, emergency response team side of things. It may take a guy like me to understand the tech side of things. But they're not being honest and truthful. There's clearly a top-down push to their organization. If you want to move up that chain, you're going to get in line. And all the good ones either shut up or leave. Because I've met some good ones. Look, I'm not saying the entire RCMP is bad. I'm saying enough of it's bad that it silences the others. And Donald Best talks about this a lot. Vincent in this interview talks about whistleblowing and how we need to protect that and get that back, because that's the truth. There are some good ones that are just silenced. And Detective Helen Caruso is an example of a police officer that's been silenced. We have one in every police services across the country. There's at least one Bruce in every one of them. And I do think that being disconnected from Ottawa, getting back to Peel's principles, being accountable to the people, and even elected by the people, not appointed by the politicians, are definitely steps in the right direction to ensure that not only do they serve and protect us, but we can then trust them.
Yeah, agreed. Again, here. I agree with that completely, because I'm a citizen of Canada, Alberta, and yeah, I would like that too. I want to be able to trust in my police force. I want to trust that I can call them, and someone's going to come to try and save me.
That's another issue, right? Like when we're rural, do you actually get service? We had somebody we employed for a bit to help out. We left for a weekend and he stole a bunch of things from us. And we called the RCMP, didn't even come out. It was over the phone. The only question that the officer had was a property worth more than $5,000, and was there serial numbers involved? Well, no. Stole a lot of things, fuel, collateral, a bunch of things, a whole bunch of things. And he didn't even deny it. He admitted he had it, but they did nothing. They didn't bring any charges. They didn't go over there to collect our property because it was under 5,000. collectively it was over 5,000, but individual items
Right.
weren't 5,000 or above, and there's no serial number. Basically said, "Hey, sorry, man, that's not what we're here for." And I was just sad by that, because it was like our first encounter with a negative experience here in Alberta, and we went to the RCMP, and the guy wasn't even denying it. That's wrong.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. No, that was a wake up, but that's not the norm out here. There's really good people out here. That's one out of the many hundreds we've met.
Oh yeah, the people themselves are fantastic. Like I said, I've all seen loud and proud how much I love our community. But yeah, just a little disappointed. And I see comments online in the local Facebook pages about people experiences with people calling the RCMP when they have been in need, and the variety of responses they have received. And it would be wonderful if there was more consistent, more timely responses as well. And again, we live rural. That shouldn't be a penalty.
And I've received a report. I've read a report from the RCMP about our show, about them watching our guests on the show, taking notes. And so, hi, if you're watching this particular episode too, that's where they're putting their attention and their resources. It was around the Coots coverage, and but yeah, they won't go and get our property back, but they'll wait and see if we are breaking a publication ban.
Yeah, your tax dollars at good use, people.
So, to my future potential, if I have the privilege of serving council mates, this is an important issue, and just because 47% of the budget is paid for by Ottawa, that is not a selling feature.
Correct.
You should understand that is they have 43% of the say.
Make change. Be willing to make change. Stand up, break the norm, because it has not been working on every aspect. Everything should be reviewed, not just because, oh, well, this is the way we've been doing it, or they contribute X amount. No, the whole point of going into Alberta sovereignty, excuse my rant, is the fact that we're doing more with the resources and the income we're generating as a province. And so therefore, yeah, if we're being supplemented 44%, you said, from 47%, well, if we're in charge of our own revenue, we'll be able to pay for that anyway. So it shouldn't be like the whole thing with the sheriff. Oh, well, there's nothing in place currently for complaints. Currently doesn't mean there's not going to be. Oh, that one really bugged me. It's like, what? So because there's not something currently right now, is that the way it's going to stay? No, of course not.
And that's not quite accurate. Okay, so what she may be looking at there is the current sheriffs of the courts and that setup. You could always complain to the court. Okay. Right. And there was a mechanism. Now, if it shifts to provincial level policing, of course, there's going to be an ombudsman. Of course, there's going to be a complaint service. Of course.
Yes.
And at least it will be in Alberta. Like, one of the complaints or the pushbacks was, well, we're not really decentralizing because the headquarters will be in Calgary. I would much prefer Calgary over Ottawa at the end of the day. And here's the opportunity we have on a county level. The US, they do their policing on a county level. You have the county sheriffs. So we actually could look at having accountability and transparency on the county level. We would hire and fire the sheriff or put him forward and have him elected by the people. We, as the county councillors, will have an input on how the policies are created, how the complaints are handled. And I think that would be a benefit. You'd have county sheriffs, just like they do all over the states. And what the huge benefit in the states was, when they were rolling out all of those experiments, there were several sheriffs that said, nah, we're not going to enforce any of this stuff. Nah, we're not going to arrest people. Nah, we're not going to go and shut down if they have more people than politicians think they should have at their property. No, we're not going to do that because we're autonomous and we have that ability. There you go. Like, even if there is a Alberta level police force, we could still have county level policing.
Yeah.
So I think these conversations need to happen. I don't think we should be afraid of change. Change is exactly what we need. And that's what I'm certainly going to be pushing for. And this is the first issue that I've seen on the council, because we've reviewed quite a few of their meetings now, where I don't align with the rest of the council. So this will be probably one of those issues where I'll have to take the time to educate them, provide them the evidence, the information, the testimony, and expand their mind a little bit about why there's so many people pushing for Alberta police.
Yeah, and it could just be a simple case of sharing information and creating awareness. Because again, you don't know what you don't know, and they may be under the impression that this is the only way, and it's like, no, hold on, but wait, there's more. We can offer them. You could do this and do this way. So I'm all for it. And again, get your information, and then you can form a well-rounded opinion. And it may not change. That's fine, but at least now you have all the information available to you, not perhaps some that's just been provided to influence.
Yeah, and counselors, where do you stand on property rights?
Mm-hmm.
Because the gun bans, they're not only they illegal, the RCMP can confiscate. They can come and take them away. Just take a look at Tamara Leach, countrywide warrant, where they came and picked her up in Medicine Hat and flew her across the country. For what? A picture with Tom Marazzo, which was completely allowed and legal. They just wanted to make an example, maybe provoke other Canadians. But you wouldn't have that if we had provincial police. The provincial police would have to be convinced through a process that a warrant needs to be executed in Alberta. There would be at least one more check and balance in the process versus the commissioner who's appointed by Trudeau sends his goon to go out and grab her. Like, that's just not how it would work. And that's just one small example of why we need to have more safeguards in place for Albertans to feel safe and trust the police again. And there's many examples like this. It's not just one off. There's many examples. High River, Coots, our example. They even set up checkpoints now for in the middle of the day, forced to take breathalyzers, even if there was no indication from you that you might have any alcohol in you. These are exactly the kind of things that Albertans don't like. Shouldn't be happening. Now, I'm all for stopping impaired driving for sure. That's not my point here. They don't have to have reasonable probable cause anymore. They just threaten you with a charge.
Checkpoint.
Yeah, and next is going to be papers and all that kind of stuff. So
No, we've already had that.
yeah,
we've already had show us your papers.
So let's get ourselves kind of back on track. Peel's principles of policing. I've got several episodes. Donald Best talks about this all the time, and Vincent goes on to how Alberta should proceed with caution. Don't be naive. Don't just jump into it. Don't replicate the same problems. It needs to be people's police. And he gives that. And he also says he'll pack his bags up and leave and come out to Alberta if we start taking these steps.
Yep. Question here. Jason, what do you think about hosting a show with Vincent, Donald, and Paul Derry from Obscene Reality? They are all digging for the truth.
Well, they've all been on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've done that.
I believe Donald and Vincent's been on at the same time. All of them are doing their own podcast now, which is great. I would like to think that maybe we helped with that some, get the cobwebs or the jitters out of them to get comfortable doing that. I know Paul kind of highlighted that. That's why he came out here. And if you didn't catch the Obscene Reality episode we did with Paul, Chris, and Rob, check that out because without doxing them, one of them came from the East Coast, one came from the West Coast, and one came from the prairies. None of them were in Alberta. And they all traveled to come out here to be here in Alberta, in our little homestead.
In our little studio.
Yeah. It was our first in-studio guest interview, and it's a good one. So check that out. But to quickly answer your question, of course, whether they're all going to be at the same time or throughout the months to come, for sure. We'll be bringing them back on. Paul Derry just announced you get his books at 50% off if you buy them as a package. So basically one for free. And and of course Vincent will come on. Donald was our first guest on this series in the morning. Yeah. So the answer is yeah, for sure, because they're all trying to expose the problems with policing in Canada, RCMP right down to municipal level. So for sure. And I do expect as Detective Helen Gruce's matter moves forward, you guys will meet her soon. She's got to cross a couple more bridges, but I don't know what details she can get into, but I do hope that one day she comes and hangs out with us and tells us her story. Yeah.
Well, when she's doing a book tour, because there's definitely so much that she could share with regards to her life experience, and then also the experience that her force put her through.
Well,
while
one of
doing her job.
the things standing in her way right now is her love of her employment. She
Mhm.
wants to stay there, serve the people. But if they end up taking that away from her, which can happen, so that's what they're asking on the sentencing
Yeah.
side, is to remove her career. If that is the step that happens, she may be in a position where she can speak more. Because
Yeah.
she certainly would like to let people know what's going on, but she does want to serve the people. And that's the threat she's under right now. If she talks to you all right now, they'll absolutely remove her badge and her ability to serve. So we'll see where this goes. I want her to continue her career. She's one of the good
course.
ones. So we support that 100%. We would never do anything that would jeopardize that. But I do know that there's a lot of groups, and Vincent and Donald and others are helping in their own way
Mhm.
to support her and make sure that she gets what she needs from the community and her fellow officers.
Yeah, and ironically enough, her colleagues still want her to work because she's still working. She's just in a different division, I would say, or department. She's still working. She's still a detective. And that's the most frustrating thing. It's not like she's been sitting on leave and, sitting there doing nothing. She's still working. She's still contributing. She's still helping people because that's how great she is.
And she makes a fabulous brunch.
Yes.
She invited us over, and we got to spend some time with her, and she's just such a
lovely,
person.
lovely woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like her lots.
Yeah. Comment here, sheriffs is a great idea as long as there is a process in place to keep them accountable. Of course. Absolutely, of course. Nothing's going to happen overnight. There's lots of conversations to be had, lots of things to be set up and criteria. And like says Jason says, ombudsman and things like that. So it's going to happen, just not overnight. And the proper time and policies and procedures will be put in place.
Agreed. 100% agreed with that. Now let's get through some of the posts, and we'll let you all get back to your day. So yesterday we did a clip. I'll play it for you because if you're just watching today and you didn't catch yesterday, this is just a couple minutes here. This is from Bruce Party with Maxime Bernier. Kind of put Max on the spot a little bit because he was part of the government when this happened, but this has got a lot of traction. People are probably not aware that Stephen Harper was the one who repealed the Castle Doctrine type laws that we had here in Canada. And then Max provides his reasoning at the time while the government was going through this. This was 13 years ago. Some of the disappointing comments I've seen, and there's quite a few comments on this post, are people like, well, that's a pass, let's let it go.
Nothing to see or remember here.
Yeah, I hope that their children or loved ones or people around that person can use that line as well. No, you need to learn from your mistakes. It's not about beating a dead horse at all. It's about recognizing a mistake and then addressing it. So stay away from people that say, just there's nothing to see here. There's room for you on CNN. And then some of the other posts, people are taking this as an opportunity to attack the Conservative Party. That's not the intent of this at all, because we want change. We want things fixed. They're the official opposition. And this is just an example of when you try to compromise, that is not necessarily going to get you what you want. So let's go ahead and just remind people about this post, this clip from yesterday.
The criminal code. Here's the irony. We had sections in the criminal code that more or less reflected a Castle Doctrine up until 2012. In old sections 40 and 41, there were defenses that described the situation where if you are in possession of your own home and somebody is trespassing in it, then you are entitled to use whatever force is necessary to get that person out. Those sections were repealed. Now, who were they repealed by and when? They were repealed in 2012 by the Harper government. And instead, we have sections 34 and 35, which were an attempt to create a generic catch-all defense for self-defense and defense of property that lists all kinds of factors. And here's the problem, that the way section 34 and 35 are constructed, it gives a great deal of discretion to the prosecution and then to the court to decide whether you're on the right side or the wrong side of this line. And that means that for regular people, there is a huge amount of uncertainty. You're living with the uncertainty about how far you're allowed to go in order to protect yourself and your family in your own home when you're invaded. And that is not appropriate. So we would be better off, I think, with the old law that we had.
One of the things I want to highlight there. So Maxime, yeah, you were part of the Harper government at the time. What was the logic for repealing?
Yes, if I remember all that, these discussion at that time, I think, the Harper government, I was part of that government. We decided to have legislation more open to gun owners. As you remember, that was a big debate at that time, and we did change the legislation for that. And I think as a compromise for the leftists, we decided to bring these legislation and abolish these sections in the criminal code. I think that was a discussion that was more political, but I don't remember the details. But I know at the same time we wanted to be more pro-gun owners, and I think we did that to please the people in big cities and the leftists over there when we abolished these sections in the criminal code. That's what I remember.
Now, people are asking, like, why make those kind of compromises? But he had a minority government, if I recall correctly. Oh, no, the majority government in 2011. So, no, he shouldn't have done these compromises. So that was interesting. And Randy Hilliard, he pointed out, whenever you compromise with the left, you get burnt twice. Once on a compromise and then once on what you thought you were going to get.
Right.
Because we certainly didn't get stronger gun ownership laws out of this. Trudeau, absolutely got rid of that. And a lot of people are pretty upset when they realize that it was Harper who removed these sections. Now, I'm sure that Trudeau would have done the same thing if it wasn't Harper, but it sucks. It sucks because compromise never gets you what you want when you're dealing with the left, in my opinion.
Agreed.
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 So go ahead and check that out. Share it out. It's got a lot of traction. There's Randy Hilliard's response here. We shouldn't have made a compromise there. Paul Derry, check out his post there. You can get his book 50% off if you buy as a package. One person was asking, what is, because all necessary force versus reasonable force. So what's the difference between necessary and reasonable? My take on this is necessary is what you think is needed. Reasonable is what others think is needed. Who do you think would know best? You, who was there making the decision, or a judge, jury who was not? So when it's necessary, you get to choose.
Yeah.
What is necessary? What's necessary to you? Reasonable isn't a process you go through in the heat of the moment, because everything that's necessary is going through your head. Reasonable is hindsight after the fact.
Yeah.
And if you want to live under a law that says, do what you do, but we're going to judge you after, it's difficult. You get things like people who are protecting their home charged. Okay. And then there was, definitely watch the Vincent Gercy episode. It's a good one. The Toronto Star, this popped up again yesterday, 4 years ago. A reminder, Toronto Star, what they said, and I'll just read it to the people who are listening. If an unvaccinated person catches it from someone who is vaccinated, boo-hoo, too bad. For starters, if you're vaccinated, how are you spreading?
Yeah,
idiots. I have no empathy left for the willfully unvaccinated. Let them die. I honestly don't care if they die from COVID, not even a little bit. Unvaccinated patients do not deserve ICU beds at this point. And then they go on. This was the front page of the Toronto Star, August 26th. So 4 years ago, 2021.
Yeah.
So never forget that.
Yeah.
Now, my post was, for the record, I don't know anyone who was unvaccinated, who was injured, suddenly died, or was taken by turbo cancer. None. I know lots of unvaccinated people. They're still with us. I know many vaccinated who were harmed or died. That's 100% true. This is criminal. I pray for that accountability comes. So let's not forget. Just like the post on the Conservative Party Harper thing. Oh, that was in the past. Let's forget about it. No, absolutely not. This is kind of why we do our show too, to remind you all about what happened to us. I'm unvaccinated. We're unvaccinated, and we certainly were second or even third class citizens. And I don't know any unvaccinated person that suddenly died or got turbo cancer or
No.
has been injured by not doing something.
Correct.
I don't know anybody that died from COVID.
I do. Very early on, even before the vax came out.
Did they have
They had pre-existing conditions.
so comorbidity?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but no, I know someone, a family.
So
friend.
with or of?
Well, at the time, which was like says in the 2020s, it was of, and they were abroad. They weren't. They were
Okay,
in.
so we're not really sure if it was
yeah.
of or with.
Exactly.
But definitely watch it. Vince Gersi one. Our friend Leighton Gray from Gray Matter Podcast announced that his book Lies, Laws, and Liberties is coming out soon. A lot of books coming out. Keep you guys warm by the fire. And of course, I'm still on the ballot. And I'm going to be doing some more work today. And it looks like we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Well done. So the next episode is going to be Tom Marazzo. It's about military, Alberta military, what we should have, what can we build with, what's already here. And he breaks that down for us. So the next episode will be Tom Marazzo.
All right. Maybe switch that off. Everyone have a fantastic day. Enjoy your hump day, middle of the week. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye from me.
Take care of each other and God bless.